Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great American Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful Thursday night in America. Last night, the Marxist Dems faced off against the Republicans, the party of truth, justice, and the American way in the congressional softball game. The Marxist Dems getting absolutely annihilated, 13-2. Bottom of the first inning, Marxist Dems up at bat, bases loaded, 2 outs, August Pfluger at third base. Take a watch what happened.
The Democratic shortstop pretty much played everywhere last year. Catcher.
Known for making great contact. Oh! Wow. Robbed at third! What a play!
Wow. Great defense there by August Pfluger. Diving stop, goes to the bag, gets the runner, ends the inning, gets out of the jam.
Absolutely awesome baseball. I told you we'd have some fun tonight. And how about Augie? What a move there. Stab, dive, done. We're back with the bottom.
Growing up in New York, I was always a big Alex Rodriguez fan, and August Pfluger made that play look far too easy. As I said, the Marxist Dems losing 13-2. Their star, Dan Goldman. Let's take a look and see what he did last night.
Down 1 ball and 2 strikes here on Dan Goldman from New York. And a swing and a miss that will end the inning. The Democrats threaten but do not score. 7-5. The Republicans.
Greg Stubbe there hitting him with that 25-mile-an-hour changeup. Not able to handle the heat. I always learned in my years of playing sports, especially baseball, the trust fund babies who had the nicest bats and gloves were never usually the good ones. Hence, Mr. Dan Goldman. But after watching that 13-2 defeat, it made all the more sense to me why the Marxist Dems want men and women's sports. 13-2. I guess it speaks for itself. Also happening this afternoon at the White House, earlier this afternoon, the White House picnic. President Trump invites the Marxist Dems and the Republicans to all congregate, bring their family, their friends. Everyone gets a few tickets. Rand Paul having a little bit of a mini meltdown yesterday because he says he was uninvited to the picnic. Let's take a listen to Rand Paul.
From my office, and it's kind of a great time of the year in the summer. My family comes up. My son and daughter-in-law and grandson are coming up because we were going to the White House picnic, but I've just been told that I've been uninvited from the picnic. I think I'm the first senator in the history of the United States to be uninvited to the White House picnic. The White House is owned by the taxpayers. We all are members of it. Every Democrat will be invited. Every Republican will be invited, but I will be the only one disallowed to come on the grounds of the White House. I just find this incredibly petty. I mean, I have been, I think, nothing but polite to the president. I have been a intellectual opponent, a public policy opponent, and he's chosen now to uninvite me from the picnic and to say my grandson can't come to the picnic. I just the level of immaturity is beyond words. I've been here long enough that if anybody has ever followed me, I've been a critic of Obama, I've been a critic of Biden, I've been a critic of the previous Trump, but always in I think, a reasonable fashion along policy. And so they've decided they want to declare war on my family and exclude us from the White House. And I just think it's incredibly petty.
So it turns out Rand Paul comes out, does that whole little song and a dance, and Donald Trump says that's not even true. Rand Paul reportedly heard it through a streamline somewhere, hearsay, that he was uninvited. President Trump tweeting out before the picnic this afternoon that he's happy to have Rand Paul there because it'll give him some time to speak with the senator about getting him on board with the BBB, the big, beautiful bill. So these nonsense from these Republican senators, it's just so unnecessary. The crying, the nonsense. I get a lot of crap on this show when I go after Thomas Massie or Rand Paul, but the truth of the matter is I'm just reporting the news, and that's the news. There was really no reason for Rand Paul to come out there and do that whole song and a dance. He mentions he's a Trumper. He's not really a Trumper. He waited till the last minute till Donald Trump had secured every single vote that he knew Donald Trump was going to win, and then came out and said he endorsed him. I mean, that's not a supporter. And his big critical issue, by the way, is on tariffs. He doesn't agree with Donald Trump on tariffs. In April, he went on Fox News with Tim Kaine. Yes, the same Tim Kaine senator from Virginia that ran for president with Hillary Clinton. Take a listen.
But on the tariffs in particular, on the idea of trade is proportional to wealth. The last 70 years of international trade has been an exponential curve upwards, and the last 70 years of prosperity has been upwards also. We are richer because of trade with Canada, and so is Canada. Whenever you trade with somebody, when an individual buys somebody else's product, it's mutually beneficial or you wouldn't buy it. If the trade is voluntary, it's always beneficial. There is no Canada versus the U.S. The consumer wins when the price is the lowest price.
Okay, so his main problem with President Trump is on tariffs, right? But the numbers came out just yesterday for May. Inflation is at its lowest point since 2020. Now, Rand Paul, for the last few months, has run around saying that Donald Trump is going to drive inflation through the roof and that consumers in America are going to be paying 125% more on certain products. That never happened. Here's some of the numbers that came out for the month of May. Gas year over year is down 12.5%. Smartphones are down 14%. Fuel oil is down 8%. Airfare is down 7%. Public transportation is down 5%. Leased vehicles is down 4%. Energy is down 3.5%. Vegetables down 2%. Hotels down 1%. The price of eggs goes on and on and on. So if Rand Paul is a man of principle, come out and say you were wrong because you were wrong. If you're a man of principle and you are what you say you are and that you just oppose Donald Trump because you're practicing what you preach, then come out and admit that you were wrong. That's all you have to do to be a man. There's no need for passive aggressiveness, going out there and doing all that nonsense. It's unnecessary. So Rand Paul, I think, is the lone GOP standout on the big, beautiful bill. Scott Besson was on Capitol Hill yesterday discussing the big, beautiful bill. Take a listen.
The one big, beautiful bill will make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. This will provide individuals and businesses with certainty and build economic momentum. The legislation is clearly and squarely aimed at boosting the working and middle class and reinvigorating American manufacturing. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the one big, beautiful bill will raise take-home pay between $7,800 and $13,300 for the average family of four. It will increase wages between $6,100 to $11,600 for the average worker, and it will cement no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and tax cuts for seniors. The one big, beautiful bill will also incentivize unprecedented investment in U.S. manufacturing. The legislation will provide 100% expensing for new factories, as well as existing factories that expand operations and support Made in America. And it will streamline burdensome permitting processes that often stand in the way of new manufacturing products. It's time for this country to start building things again, and the one big, beautiful bill makes this possible. The administration is grateful for the House's efforts to advance the one big, beautiful bill. We now look forward to working closely with this committee and other members of the Senate to get this legislation to the president's desk.
Simple. Why would Rand Paul be against that? Now, I'll agree. It's not everything that we wanted. It's not the cuts that we wanted, not tax cuts, but it's not the cuts in spending that we wanted. But nothing is ever going to be perfect, especially in this Congress that we have. Congressman Green announcing, Mark Green announcing he's going to be leaving Congress in the next 2 weeks. Brings the majority down even more because these people are so selfish. He probably got himself a nice high-paying lobbyist job, so I guess we can't blame him, right? Truly, truly ridiculous. President Trump was at the Kennedy Center last night for a Broadway play. He was asked about some of these actors and boycotting him. Brilliant response, as usual, Mr. President.
It's been reported that some actors may be boycotting tonight.
I couldn't care less, honestly. All I do is run the country well. The economic numbers, you saw them today, they're setting records. We took $88 billion in tariffs in 2 months, far beyond what anybody expected. There's no inflation. People are happy. People are wealthy. The country is getting back to strength again. That's what I care about. And we're going to have a safe country. We're not going to have what would have happened in Los Angeles. Remember, if I wasn't there, if I didn't act quickly on that, Los Angeles would be burning to the ground right now.
He's absolutely right. Los Angeles would look right now like Minneapolis looked in the summer of love. If you don't believe me, watch what happens to some of these insurrectionists who think that they're going to go after police officers and ICE agents.
I just got hit with the left lethal. Yeah, I'm okay. All right, I got hit with the left lethal. I'm okay. That's what the Kevlar is for. I have Kevlar tights on under my pants.
It's a news reporter there. You hear it yelling, "Stop, stop, stop. Well, get out of the line of fire." You just watch this insurrectionist throw a bottle at the police officer. You should be yelling at him. And great on that American citizen who spearheaded that guy and absolutely T-boned him, laid him out. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. When we return, Ron DeSantis has an idea on what we should be doing with these protesters. Also, Elon Musk says he's sorry. But is it too late now to say sorry? We're going to be joined by my good friend and radio legend, Rich Valdés, on the other side of this quick break, folks. Stay with us.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. So Ron DeSantis down in Florida, and I'm very critical of Ron DeSantis very often because of how he opposes Donald Trump and behind the scenes opposes Donald Trump. But he's got a very good idea, I must say, and I've got to give credit where credit is due. Just take a listen on what Governor DeSantis has for these insurrectionists.
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
Sounds like everyone in Florida needs to do exactly what I did. Go out and buy yourself a Jeep Wrangler, put some big tires on it and one of those cattle herders on it, just in case people decide to get out of control. Great on Governor DeSantis. No American should live in fear because of these insurrectionists who want to destroy our country. Folks, as promised, our guest today is my good friend and New York City radio host, syndicated radio host, I should say, not just New York City, Rich Valdés with an S.
What's up, John?
Rich, there's so much to talk about, and we're going to get to it all today. But I got to start with first, the summer of love. It's happening all over again, but it seems that it's going to be cut just a little bit short because of, what do you call Donald Trump?
El Trompito, Donaldus Magnus.
So what say you, Rich?
Listen, I'm hoping that the summer of love is cut short. I can't believe that there are people out there. I've had so many messages and texts from our friends, from folks on the right, hitting me up saying, I can't believe Trump's being such an a-hole. He's crazy. I can't believe he's sending the Marines. And I thought to myself, man, I don't see it that way at all. I mean, you know, I interviewed somebody on my show a couple of days ago. He was in the Rodney King riots back in the 90s. And he was explaining how back then they were saying the same exact thing. Then President H.W. Bush had used the Insurrection Act to bring in the National Guard and sent in, I think it was something like 1,000 Marines. Yeah. And not a word of that in the media. So I think the media, like always, they're full of it. They're fake. They're phony. They're fraud. I think they're not doing enough. I think we need to get them a little more power and get a little more aggressive and really put this thing down. I don't understand why we're not using water cannons, why we're not, macing en masse. We need to get this thing wrapped up quick. And the idea that you're stifling somebody's free speech when they're pelting people with frozen projectiles, rocks, bricks, whatever. I mean, that's an all-out war, and that can't be tolerated.
Yeah, how many people should die? How many innocent Americans should die because of these illegals that come here? They're rich. It's so black and white at the end of the day. You're here illegally. It doesn't matter what you're here to do. If you're one of these people who's a gangbanger or you broke the law, you came to this country. I understand that all of us have a heart, right? But at the end of the day, we're a nation of law, order, and borders. If we don't abide by that, then really, what is America, Rich? What difference is America from Venezuela or Cuba or Colombia or one of these other nations? I was reading something today, Rich. In London, more than 50% of their public housing is occupied by illegal migrants. Is that what we're supposed to be?
Listen, John, the reality is this isn't about logic, and it never was. The left will find think about past arguments. Summer of Love. They were breaking and killing people and burning things and looting, all in the name of what? Honoring the martyrdom of George Floyd. It didn't make sense then. It never makes sense. The reality is this is the Marxist left looking to divide and conquer, looking to create an oppressor and oppressed scenario every step of the way so they can continue to build a movement for themselves. If without the emotion and without a presumed bad guy, they don't have a movement. So they need to constantly keep making things up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But the difference is this time, Rich, is I'm not going to say the media is fair because they'll never be fair towards Donald Trump. But the media this time around, I think, some of them learned their lesson. We watched Terry get fired the other day for his comments. That's what it should be. You're supposed to be No, if you're on Fox News and you're an opinionated host after the hours of 6 p.m. or whatever, okay. If you're on CNN and you're Rachel Maddow, that's fine. You run opinion-based shows. You have your audience that tune in. They're either Marxist Dems or they're Republicans. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you're Terry Moran, you're supposed to be a CBS journalist. You're not opinionated on air. Off air, you're allowed to believe whatever you want. You're not supposed to come out here and lay out your opinion on the American people. You're supposed to be a news reporter, and that's what you are. That's the difference between CBS and Fox News and CBS and ABC. But this time around, Donald Trump, I think, is getting a little bit more of a fair shake from the mainstream media. I'm not going to say it's 100% turnaround, but I think he's getting a little bit more of a fair shake. What do you think?
That's probably a true statement, but I don't think it's because of anything that they're doing. I think it's twofold. One side of it is Trump holds their feet to the fire. He literally has the masses and the ability to reach the masses through True Social, through multiple media outlets. So I think they've realized, wow, he can get the message out irrespective of our lies. And then B, the other side of that coin is they've realized, well, part of it is if you can't beat them, join them, right? It's like we need this guy. We need to talk about Orange Man bad because he's good for our ratings. And without us talking about him, they would love to ignore him. I think they just can't afford to ignore him.
The crazy thing, Rich, is how accessible of a person he is. I saw the other day, he called Gavin Newsom at 2:00 in the morning our time. So now you rewind back 3 hours for the West Coast time change. Called Gavin Newsom once, he didn't answer the phone. Called him again, spoke to him for 16 minutes. Whatever he said to him, we don't know. But Gavin Newsom says that I never spoke to Donald Trump. It was all a lie. John Roberts from Fox News texts Donald Trump on his cell phone. Hey, did you speak to Gavin Newsom? Donald Trump texts him back a screenshot of the phone conversation. I've never seen in my life, Rich, a politician, let alone a president of the United States, so transparent and so easily accessible to the American media as Donald Trump.
Well, again, you and me are both New Yorkers. When I was a kid in Brooklyn, I remember, I love Trump. I thought Trump was terrific way before any politics. He's a pimp. He's a playboy. He's the man. He's in every rap video. He was just a cool dude. I loved The Apprentice. And he was always that guy. And he understood the media. He understood what it was to be famous. He gets that. And he's really good at it. He's good at managing the media like a famous person. That's something I think that the others don't have that luxury. No politician. They work hard and hire PR firms and say crazy things just to get a little ink in the press. So Trump gets it for breathing. And I think he uses that to his advantage every single day, and he's a master at it. So I think that's a big part of it. The other part of it is that he truly is entertaining. and why wouldn't you want to hear that? And I think the last part is he's a businessman. And that's how those guys work. You know, they're like, oh, I'm building this. The guy says that the quote's coming in higher. He's like, no, hold on. That's BS. I got the screenshot right here on my phone. Right. That's how regular people in the private sector work. And he's never abandoned that to cross his legs and take a deep breath and act like a real stuffed suit politician and say, well, you know, let's see, maybe we can figure a way around this. What's the most diplomatic solution? He cuts out all the BS and gets straight to the point, which is why I'm a huge fan.
He's just a normal dude, Rich. I've been around him, had the honor and pleasure to be around him a lot over the last 8 years, 9 years. I mean, on the golf course with him. I've watched him in locker rooms, in golf club locker rooms, in his golf clubs, just strike up conversations. I'll never forget. I'm in Trump Jupiter in Florida, and there's a guy sitting down on the couch watching television in the locker room, and Trump goes up to him and strikes a conversation with this guy. Like, he's just a man's man, a down-to-earth guy, which is why it annoys me so much that the mainstream media just doesn't give this guy a fair shake. He's a normal dude, a fast food eating, Diet Coke drinking New Yorker, and they do not give this guy. If they gave this guy a fair shake, Rich, I think things could be so much different in this country. There could be so much more unity. But you know what? What's the saying? We're dealt. We play with the hand that we're dealt, not the one we choose. Is what it is. Now, there's some Marxist Dem governors, which, of course, this is not making the news because it doesn't benefit them. Waltz, Pritzker, and Newsom. They're in the process right now, Rich, of removing illegals. Now, I'm all for this. I think that it's a great job, but it should be broadcast. They're in the process of getting rid of state-funded health care for illegals. Why is there no riots about that?
Right. Where's the riot on these guys? Well, again, I think they realize we're losing federal funding. We can't really continue these games that we're playing through the S-CHIP program, right? The State Child Health Insurance Program and other similar programs that come from federal block grants and largely from other grants that come from the feds. So they've got to figure something out. And again, what do they do? What did Newsom do? Right? He said, oh my gosh, there's chaos in the streets. This is Trump's fault. Karen Bass, this is Trump's fault. They're blaming Trump for the chaos in their streets. And even, again, it's sad to say, but I get these pitches for guests on my show that I know are conservative, that I know are, Republican leaning at worst. And the things that are in the pitch, the things that say, like, given that things have gotten worse since Donald Trump sent the Marines, I'm thinking, I don't think they're getting worse. Yeah. I think that they're being judicious and they're not using a very heavy hand to make sure things don't get worse. But it's just amazing to see how many people are really, I'm going to say deep state, right? Closetedly against doing the right thing when it's Trump's idea. If it was somebody else's idea, I think they'd be all for it.
Yeah. My favorite thing is watching these riots and these loots. And of course they go looting, they go shopping. I mean, I guess you really can't blame them at the end of the day. They're criminals for looting. But why wouldn't you go shopping for free if you can? If nothing's going to happen to you, Rich, and someone tells you you can go to the Apple store and take as much as you want, go to the Adidas store, and you go to – this is the best one to me. Is they always go to CVS. What are you stealing from CVS? Deodorant? You dirtbags? Really? You're going to CVS? Like, what the hell are you stealing from CVS? So that's always the funniest one to see. But you know what? If he didn't send in the Marines, Rich, I think that city would have been burnt to the ground. If he didn't send in the National Guard, I think they would have started to burn that city to the ground, just as they've done in Minneapolis, just as they've tried to do in New York City. And to Eric Adams's credit, New York has not – I have a lot of friends who are police officers here. New York has not seen anywhere near as bad as what California is seeing right now because of Eric Adams and him allowing ICE to come in here and start detaining some of these people. I've got to say, hats off to the Marxist Dems in New York.
Well, listen, I mean, Eric Adams overstayed his welcome with the Marxist Dems. His friends don't like him anymore. Yeah. So I think, he realizes that his only shot is trying to ingratiate himself with Trump and to have Trump say, hey, I'm not going to say to vote for you, but I won't say not to. And, and just on that election, I was looking at some numbers. Curtis Sliwa doing great. He's above 30%. It's a 4 or 5 way race. It looks really good for him. I mean, Brian Lehrer, Errol Lewis, these are big time lefties saying Sliwa has a solid shot to getting into Gracie Mansion. So it seems like the tide is turning in New York, and thank God for it. One thing I could say, and this as good as anybody, New Yorkers can be all sorts of political stripes, but most of them don't take BS from a lot of people. Yeah. And this stuff, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. You see that and you're like, bro, you don't do that. And that's that crazy California Marxist stuff that's pouring over into the city, and it's got to be rejected.
Yeah, I have to assume a lot of people who don't like for doing this show is probably because of my brashness of being in New York, and it's not something we can really control, Rich. It's like, right. And you can't even explain what it is. It's just the way you're born, the way you're brought up, and the way you're raised. You're raised to be street smart. You're raised to be street tough. Because of, what New York is. It's not exactly the easiest place to live. There's parts of New York that are probably worse than some of the worst parts of Haiti or Dominican Republic or Cuba or Venezuela. It's just the way it is. So, I think we're brought up a different way than, most people throughout the country are. And now is it a good thing? I'd say it's probably good in some senses, and it's probably bad in other because we're more brash.
Fight first, talk later.
Exactly. And we're more brutally honest than we probably should be. So, that's what we get for being New Yorkers. But like I said, hats off to Eric Adams for allowing this to go on. Biden's Border Patrol chief, Raul Ortiz, was on Fox News the other day, and he says that there's more than 20 million illegals in this country right now. This is something we've all known. It's probably close.
Didn't hear it while he was in office.
No. Why is it now? This is like the same thing, Rich. We're hearing from Jake Tapper now that he's got a book out that Biden was not mentally fit. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We all do that.
John, a lot of people I've learned when I worked in government are willing to trade a lot for a pension and a paycheck.
Yep.
And some will and some won't. And I'm not going to criticize those that do, but I think that's usually the answer. They look at their wife, they look at their kids, and they say, I can't let these people down. I couldn't ever do it. I mean, I spent 2 years, maybe a little more, in the State House in Trenton, New Jersey, and in a Republican administration. But the Democrats, the deep state there is so powerful. I mean, they're everywhere. For every one Republican, there's like 10 Democrats. And it's hard to do anything. And if they don't want you, they get rid of you. They'll figure out a way. And you realize you're totally outnumbered. And in many ways, it's why I do what I do, right? I can reach more people on the outside than I could ever reach on the inside of government. But it's a sad truth. A pension and a paycheck hold a lot of people hostage.
Yeah, it's sad. Speaking of paychecks, the House has voted to advance some Doge cuts for NPR, PBS, and USAID, expected to go to the House floor either later today or tomorrow. It's about time. We're going to get to Elon Musk right after this, but it's about time that these Republicans, I mean, they've sit there. I was in D.C. last week, Rich, and I had some meetings with some members of Congress. And, I brought Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen, Mark, down with me. And Mark's not a stupid guy. He's probably one of the smartest people I know. Yeah, extremely high IQ'd individual. And I was just watching Mark's reaction to him sitting in these meetings with me. And he was just aggravated and annoyed. And he's not an easy person to aggravate. He's just a very easy dude to hang out with. And that's the general sentiment in D.C. And I asked these people, these members of Congress, some of them very, very, very high up, do you guys want to lose 2026? Like, what are you guys doing to advance winning in 2026? And Rich, I can't think of one of them that had a straight answer for me that this is what we're doing.
The truth is hard to tell sometimes, John, but I think of it like, it's your first day of school in a new school. Big, tallest kid in the schoolyard comes up to you, starts bullying you. And you think to yourself, this guy's going to wipe the floor with me. What do? You swing as hard as you can for his jaw, to prove your own, to say, look, I took him on. Yeah. Maybe he wins, maybe right. I think that's what they're doing. They're like, we can't beat these guys. People want their paychecks to look bigger. People want no tax on tips. People want this stuff. They're crazy, but they want it. Yeah. So now their only job, let's continue burning stuff down. Let's do as much damage as we can on the way out. They're getting evicted from their home, and they're like, you know what? Sure, let's go ahead and pour cement into the drain and steal the copper pipes and ruin this thing for the next guy. And I think that's what the Democrats are doing. It's complete sabotage.
Only New Yorkers know about the copper pipe stealing, Rich. We're going to lose a lot of the audience on that one.
Oh, sorry, guys.
The copper pipe thing is a big New York thing that back in the day, and I think it probably still happens today, is people steal copper pipe
and sell it.
And they sell it because it's worth a shit ton of money. I have a buddy, Rich, who owns a cell site tower upgrading service, and he stores all the copper pipe in his garage till it gets like $200,000, and then he goes and sells it and he buys himself a new car. There was one problem is he told too many people that he was doing this.
They robbed him.
One day he got in there and his G-Wagon wasn't in there, and neither was the copper piping. So it's a big New York thing.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Rich, we're going to get to Elon Musk because there's so much to talk to about there and that fallout he had with Donald Trump, but now he's sorry all of a sudden. Best inflation numbers since 2020. Rand Paul, in my monologue, I pointed out, always crying about these numbers. Thomas Massey, another one. Thomas Massey, by the way, voted to raise the debt ceiling for Joe Biden back in 2023 for him to go on and keep spending under Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy was ultimately ousted for it. So these people claim to be fiscal conservatives, but they're not always the case. But Rand Paul, nonetheless, says that Donald Trump was going to kill this economy. Things were going to go down the drain because of tariffs. Some of the numbers, gas prices down 12.5% year over year, smartphones, fuel oil, airfare, eggs. Democrats wanted to talk about eggs for some reason, right? Everything is down under Donald Trump, and we have the highest tariffs, Rich, that we've had in my lifetime, at least, on these nations. So which one is it? Is Donald Trump driving this economy into the ground, or does he have it prospering and rip-roaring?
Yeah, well, look, I think the last tariff number I saw is $88 billion. Nothing to sneeze at. The last 4 months have shown pretty steady growth on everything, right? On 4.6 growth on the economy. The cost of goods has not gone up at all, pretty much stayed flat the last 4 months, which everybody thought they're going to pass on the price of tariffs to the consumer. That also did not pan out to be the case. And you look at that, gas continues to be consistently low, inflation numbers consistently low. And I think sometimes you got to take a gamble to see the result. And I would put my money on Trump, not because I like Trump, but because Trump was president already and did this already. And he knows what's going on. And if you look, last night they announced the framework for the China deal. 55% is going to be what China's paying. I think we're at 10. That sounds like a really good deal to me. It sounds like they negotiated it really well. And great. Bringing China, I'm going to say bringing China to their knees, because as much as we need cheap Chinese plastic and dollar store items and whatever, do we really need all that? I think we could live without it if we're faced with knowing that we're funding one of our biggest enemies. So I think Trump has been right across the board. Certain things maybe he wasn't right on, like how quickly he could end the Ukraine war. And I think that was a little bit outside of his purview. These guys are adamant about killing each other. And I think they're more adamant about staying in war because the war machine makes them money. So with that being the case for both of them, they don't care about the lives they're losing. They care about all the investment they're getting in defense. And they're going to keep killing.
Yeah. Two numbskulls, Putin and Zelensky both. I don't know what the heck is wrong with those people, but there's something seriously wrong with both of them. Enough is enough. Get this thing over with, man. There's really no sense in this war to be fought over. Absolutely nonsense. Get it over with, be done with it, and move on. And NATO's got to cut out their nonsense. Let's talk about Elon Musk. Is it too late to say sorry? I'm going to test my Spanish out here. Es tarde para pedir perdón. Is that right?
Yeah, that was really good. I don't know if it's too late or not. I think there was a lot of people on the strength of Trump, out of love for Trump, that were like, I don't like Elon Musk. He's a Silicon Valley weirdo, but we'll get on board. I wasn't necessarily one of those. Wasn't a fan, but I wasn't a hater. I tried to invite him on my show a few times, never responded. So I'm less of a fan now. But I think
If you want to give us his phone number, we can have the audience reach out.
Yeah. Give him a call, guys. Text him for me. But ultimately, I think Elon Musk, maybe believed that because he has a lot of money and a lot of, Twitter followers or whatever the case is, that he was somehow more popular or more powerful than Trump. And I don't think that's the case at all. And I think his apology is proof of it. I also think President Trump's reaction, people like to say Trump is this and Trump is that. Trump took it like a champ and just said, it's too bad, whatever. Made a couple of matter-of-fact statements, but they weren't childish. I thought they were presidential. And I was proud of it, honestly, to tell you the truth. And I think Elon Musk, for whatever the case was, why he did what he did, I have no idea. But I don't think it was a good move. I think you're better off having an ally in the White House than not. And I think he blew it.
Yeah, Donald Trump, this is one of the few times where we saw Donald Trump take the high road. He usually will hit back. But I think he actually does truly feel bad for Elon Musk. Donald Trump was his only friend. You don't see Elon Musk out here. He's an oligarch for sure, but usually the oligarchs hang together. He's the outsider. They don't like him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's weird or whatever, but they didn't like him before Donald Trump either. So it's not just because he's friends with Donald Trump that they don't like him. It's something probably deeper than that. But the guy's got no friends. Donald Trump was his only friend. And Donald Trump, time and time again, this is what annoys me so much, Rich, is he gets backstabbed. He does all this stuff for these people. He does all this good for these people, and they stab him in the back. It's like, enough's enough. And you can't even tell him, like, did you learn your lesson now? Because who the heck?
You can't. You know why? It's because no risk, no reward.
Yeah.
And I think Trump understands that. I'm going to take a risk on these people each and every time because there's too much upside to be afraid of the downside. I don't think you're as successful a man as he is unless you really put that aside and say, let's do it. And the reality is most of us aren't that risky, right? Most of us go, nah, too much downside. I'm not involved. I think Trump is that guy that says, let's give it a shot, see what happens.
Yeah, it's risky. There's nothing more risky than opening a casino in Atlantic City. Donald Trump did it, and that's what you often hear about on the left, Rich.
Yeah.
He's a failure. He failed at opening a casino in Atlantic City. Okay, well, you show me a casino that hasn't failed yet in Atlantic City, and I'll tell you you're Copernicus because Atlantic City's a dying place. Rich Valdés, the host of America at Night. Rich, you get the last word here. Where can people listen to you? Where can they tune in? What time each and every night?
You bet. Well, we're on 9 to midnight, Monday through Friday across the country. I would recommend going to richvaldez.com. That's Valdez with an S. You can listen to the show right from the website. If you're in any one of 250 radio markets across the country, you can look for me on the radio dial there. We're live and national each and every night.
And I tune in every night that I can. Rich, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Come back soon, brother.
You bet, brother. Thanks, John.
Thanks to Rich Valdés, and thank you, folks, for being with us tonight here on The Great America Show. We hope to see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Tomorrow, I'll meet you back here, same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.